a simple overview of web application. So, and how to deal with that, we will see, means how we can work with that. Technically, once we are dealing with the web development, some important terminology that you need to be familiar with. So, and what are the options to be familiar with? So those things we are going to discuss now with a practical approach also. We are going to discuss with a practical approach. So what we are going to learn from today is all the concept towards working with web development. So already what is web? What are the concepts of web? Basics we discussed. We will explore them detailedly from today. So while working with web development, so first important, we need to understand about web server. In the last session, I explained the hierarchy, the order, and the process. And if you missed, you are just attending today, you can go through our YouTube videos in our Naresh IT YouTube channel. So those previous demos are available. You can go through them. So today we are going to discuss and work with how we can practically start working with the environment of web development. In our previous sessions, we learned about the concept of web, how it actually works, backend, database, application server. We are going to explore everything detailedly now. First, in the web technologies, we need to understand about the web server. So we need to understand about the web server. So technically, just see what is web server and how we can handle with web server, right? Actually, what is a web server? So web server resembles both hardware and software. Hardware and software. What does that mean? I will tell you. A web server technically resembles both hardware and software. It satisfies the client request by sending and receiving data. Receiving data. Detailedly, we will go into that now, technically. Actually, web server resembles both the hardware and the software. It satisfies the client request by sending and receiving the data. Actually, suppose what is the role of web server, how it actually works. So we have web. So technically we have web. So web is network of computers connecting all over the world. This is actually web. Now important is, so we have a web server. So basically we have a web server. So this is a web server. A simple general overview, like this is a web server. So this web server is responsible for handling communication. So with the web. You know that this web is a portion of internet. It is a portion of internet. That means the client, when client makes a request, the client request comes to this web server. So this web server will send response to the request for the client. That process you are going to see. So what is web server? Actually, this resembles both hardware and software. That means web server is a computer, and this web server computer will have a software inside it. It will have a software inside it. You know that any hardware cannot do the task by itself, right? By itself. Actually, we have to have a software that satisfies the functionality. That means which acts as a medium to interact with it. The computer is called web server, and the software that is used in that computer to handle the request and response, that software is also called web server. So web server, that is why it resembles both hardware and software. The computer is technically termed as web server, and the software is also web server, both hardware and software. And the popular web server softwares, already I explained in the last session. We have IIS, so Apache, Tomcat. We have NGINX, Light TPD. So these are all Light TPD. Yeah, these all are the web server softwares. So many web server softwares are present. These are all web server softwares. Technically, so many web server softwares are there. Some open source, some paid, some live, we can use them. We will see them, different options. You will come across with so many things. Very popular, we have IIS, we have Tomcat, so we have NGINX. So we have even Node.js provides a server, Node.js. So these are all web servers. We have Light TPD. These all are web servers, web server softwares. Technically, these are all web server softwares. Yeah. So here the point is the computer where these softwares are present. So that computer is also referred as a web server actually. So in general software terminology, so what is the meaning of server actually? What is the concept of server? In general computer terminology, server refers to a computer, or software solution where we can host process, and we can process and handle requests. Server refers to a computer or software solution, so where we can host, we can process and handle the requests. So handle, request and response, everything can be managed. And the server which is working in web to handle the requests is called as web server. So web server is responsible for hosting, processing and managing the requests on web. That means web server is responsible for hosting your applications, processing and handling requests. That's what actually web server will do, handling requests in web. Web server is responsible for doing that in web. See, technically, so many points will be there. which we will come across. So we will go and explore. In the initial stages itself, so we should not go so much technical. It will confuse the beginners. So first we will start in a general way and we go technical. Because immediately when we start discussing technical, then so many confusions will come for the beginners. Already people who have knowledge, for them it's okay. But people who don't have prior knowledge and newly coming to learn the software technologies, then for them a lot of confusion is created. To overcome that, we have to discuss from a general way to technical way. That helps them to easily understand. So you also should follow the same process. So our intention as of now, just to understand what is a server and what is web server. Actually, web server is also known as HTTP server. Web server is also known as HTTP server. What is a HTTP server and why it is known as a HTTP server? We are going to discuss that so that you will get into the next point actually. So it is also known as HTTP server. Why it is called HTTP server? We will discuss that. So for that we need to first see it, how it looks like. Then we can understand why it is called HTTP server. Actually, the popular web server softwares are web server software are. So the popular web server software. So some of the web server softwares that we see regularly. One is the popular web server software, as I showed you. We have Microsoft IIS, Internet Information Services Manager. We have Apache Tomcat. So we have like Node.js. So like we have NGINX. So NGINX. So we have like light TPD. So these are light TPD. So etc. So many are there. Now important is how this web server software work. How do we use them? How do we work with them? We will see that. So we are going to understand and we are going to work with that practically now. So first important here is how to locate a web server. How do we configure the web server? We will see on our machine how it is managed actually. So generally, why we need to use a web server locally? For that, a basic idea I will give you actually. Technically, in real-time development process, in real-world development process, actually, entire software development happens in 4 servers. Actually, entire software development happens in 4 servers. So usually, we will have a development server. So we will have a quality server. We will have a production server. And actually, we also have, so these are the development, quality, and production servers. We also have a sandbox server. We have a sandbox, or we call golden server. In real-time development process, entire development happens in various servers. We have a sandbox, development, quality, production. Actually, in simple terms, this sandbox server is the repository server. That means whatever the library, so whatever the language, whatever the frameworks, whatever we need for our application, to build an application, whatever developer needs, everything is given here. We will have a sandbox server. Now developers are given access to development server. That means we build application on this development server. That means as a developer, you are given access to this development server. So we have to bring the library from this sandbox and build an application. All the repository is present in that sandbox. After building application on the development server, we move this application to quality server. Quality server is the location where that application is tested, After testing the application, so we move that to production server. And production server is the server which is given to client. That means our client will be using our application from the production server. That means our client will be using that application from the production server. In real-time development process, when an application is designed, this is the general process actually. It is a very common thing. So our client will be using the application from the production. That means the application, so from the production, it will go live. Our clients will be using that application. If any changes are required, we don't do that in the production directly. What we need to do is we again need to make changes in the development server. Then from there, again move to quality server. Then again to the production. Directly, we don't do any modifications in the production. If client needs some additional options, client needs some changes, everything we do in the development. So software development in real world environment is not just sitting on a machine and designing it. It has a lot of infrastructure and a lot of concepts. At a higher level, so this is how actually the process works. And very important is even the configurations, the code. So when it is moving from one server to another server, then a lot of changes happens. Our application requires configuration for quality, requires configuration for production. So that means experienced people, when they are working in the real world environment, they also know that there is a lot of difference when application goes to production. In development, you do in one way, and finally when it goes to production, so the functionality will be there, but some changes will happen. Just like one example I will give you. Suppose if you generally later, because you are here to learn all those things. Suppose if you are going to develop an application. If you are going to develop an application, suppose I am opening a website, some AngularJS. So this is a website. And I want to download this AngularJS to build AngularJS application. When I went to download this AngularJS application, now you can see that here. So for building an application, so here you have two things. They have given an option like minified and uncompressed. So they given a library AngularJS, and uncompressed it is angular.js, and minified this is angular.min.js. That means two different libraries they have provided for the same purpose. One is a minified, another one is uncompressed. Minified is compressed actually. Now, what is the reason of giving two libraries for the same purpose? It is nothing but if you are a developer, then if you are building an application, for that you need one library, and you are taking that application live to the production, and finally you are publishing and the user will start using it. Then the same library we need with a compressed feature, because it should be less weight, lightweight, so that it can easily reach to the client. So then different libraries are maintained. A lot of changes will happen in the code. Remember, functionality will be same, but so much changes happens in writing the logic. So that is actually the point. That means when you are a developer, so when you are developing an application, you should know that, so the code changes when it is moving, configuration changes when it is moving from one server to another. These days, all technologies, Java, .NET, PHP, all technologies have this headache of changing code from one server to another server. Configuration changes. They are working on that. In their latest versions, they are trying in such a way that same code runs on both development and production. Same code runs on both development and production. That is what actually they are trying to achieve, so that it will reduce that effort and the pain of the developer who is facing the problem of changing the code. In experience level people interviews also, if you put 5-6 years experience, sometimes so a call comes to you asking for production support. They say that we need a person who can work in production support. Production support means directly you have to work for the client, and if any issue comes in the production, so immediately you need to resolve. Working for production support is very risky thing. Very experienced experts can do that. So fresher don't have any role in that. Fresher role will be always in this development only. Always in this development only. And production support, it's very complex. Why? Because client gets an issue, you have to resolve it immediately. That means something not working properly, some issue is coming, you need to resolve it. And priority based issues will come. P1, P2, P3 issues will come. If you are not resolving the issue immediately, then their business stops. And if that business stops, then some thousands of crores of rupees loss if it is a very large scale industry. So we can't take chances. That's the reason the production people should have good knowledge in the technology, so that they can easily handle the issues. Priority wise issues will come. For example, suppose you are using Amazon. You are using Amazon. And due to some technical reason, when you are using Amazon and I selected a product, after selecting a product and after purchasing a product, that means after going into that, I selected a product, I chosen a product. After that, next step, I went to the payment option, and immediately that payment method is not working. And due to some technical reasons, so many issues may come. That button is not working, that option is not working. Then immediately, so Amazon, so that means you are the person who built it. Then immediately a query is sent to you that this is not working, you have to resolve it very, very fast. That means it should be resolved within few minutes. Few minutes also very complicated. Why? Because why it is not working? Technically, you have to resolve it. So why? Because if you are not resolving in that few minutes, what happens is, so the person who is making an order, he will say that, okay, I will cancel this and I will go somewhere else, or I will do later. That means now they lost the business because you are unable to resolve that issue. That is very complicated. So this type of concept will be there. You will learn later further while learning about the technology, what will be the issues in various environments. Initially, the point is entire development happens in this way. That is the reason actually we have various servers. We have to test on various servers. Now what we are trying to do is we are going to use these web servers. We are going to use these web servers locally. So we are going to use the web server locally on our machine, locally on our machine. So initially, so we are going to work with the on our machines, locally on our machine. So what we do is, so we build application, we test application, and then we can deploy on live servers. That means how you have to learn the technology. That means you will not directly build a live website. That is always a foolish thing. That means you will not go online and directly design a website. First, what we do as developer is we have to locally build. Currently, we are locally building on our machine. Generally, companies do that on their local servers. On a local machine, you need a server where you have to host your application. You have to build that application. You have to test that application. And everything is fine. Then your application is ready. Then you finally push the application live. That means you can make the application live. To make the application live, what we do, we purchase a domain, we purchase a hosting space. That means usually you have the websites like some GoDaddy. Yeah, so GoDaddy. So we open this GoDaddy. And what is this GoDaddy? So we are purchasing a domain. We will purchase a domain, means what website we want, whether the domain is available or not. Suppose I am searching for some Naresh IT, and when I search for the domain, it will show you whether the domain is available. NareshIT.com is taken, and you have several suggestions. Several other suggestions are there. Naresh Solutions, NareshTechnology.com, and it is for 499 rupees. Okay, 499 rupees. We will purchase this. That means they given a domain. Now you need a hosting space. That means you have to go to the hosting. That means you got a website, but you need a hosting space. You have to purchase the hosting space. You have to purchase the servers for hosting your application. So web hosting, all these I will explain towards the end. We need a hosting space. We need to purchase the hosting. So depending on what kind of business yours is, so depending on the scale of that business, you need to purchase different servers. We will discuss all this towards the end actually. Now, once you purchase this, once you purchase the hosting, now in this location, you have to host your application that you have already built. So we have dedicated servers here. So here we have to host our application. Whenever you talk about server, means it is hosting. This is live hosting. Once you host it here, you have to purchase it. So you have to purchase it. So once you host here, you can see they will give you different options. So every server has some space, some capacity. Depending on your requirements, you have to purchase. You can upgrade them. So once you purchase this, then you have to, what do? Will you build application here? No, we don't build here. We already built an application. So that application need to be pushed here. And when you push an application here, right? So there are different free platforms, right? But those free platforms will not give you, right, your own website name. Am I right? There are so many free platforms, but they will not give you yourname.com. They will say that yourname.theirname.com. Understood? So many are there. Like you have Firebase. Google provides a Firebase. So this is Google Firebase. So you can use this Google Firebase. You can host your application here. So you can use here. The point is now when you create here, so if you are not paying money, if it is free, then obviously the address they will give to you will be like, so will be like your site dot firebase.com, something like this. We don't want this, we want this. In that case, obviously you have to purchase. Nobody will give you anything free. So free under their hosting domain only they will provide you, right? You have to purchase everything. So the point is, so now what you will do, you will build here, you will not build here. So any developer knows that he will not build directly everything here. That's very complicated, complex. So what we do is we build everything locally. And after building locally everything and maintaining everything locally, if all functionality is perfect, then we will push this to the live servers. That process you are going to learn towards the end, how this entire hosting happens. That is not the concept learned in the first day, how hosting happens. So first we need to learn locally. So that means we need to test it, we need to build it, then we have to go live. It is just like rehearsal, right? What we generally do, that's very important, very important. So that means the point is like, suppose 26th January, so Republic Day parade happens. And before 26th January Republic Day parade, on 24th January, so the Republic Day parade actually happens in the same manner how it should happen on 26th. That is a rehearsal, complete, along with timing and everything. Only the point is, guests will not be there. Even audience also will be there on 24th August, 24th January. Why? Because they have to go live on 26th and they cannot go wrong on that day. They have to maintain all the timings, everything in a perfect manner. They cannot directly go live. They have to do several rehearsals. So that means this is the point to understand, right? You cannot directly build live. That will take a lot of issues technically. So that's the reason we need to build locally. Then we need to go live. That is the basic thing actually. So now for that, we are using these web servers. For that, we are using these web servers. So to locally host an application, to maintain application, to build an application, then we can push them live. We can make them live. We will see how do we make them live once we learned how do we build them locally. And different web servers are there. We have to download and install these web servers according to our requirement. So, but if you have Windows, so if you have Windows operating system, so Windows web server. If you have Windows operating system in your computer, by default, Windows comes with a web server. And you can use that web server. If you are using Linux or some Mac or some other operating systems, so then for them, how to add a server, how to work with the server, that I will show you in the next levels. So we will see that. But if you have Windows in your computer, Windows as an I will upload a document how you establish a local server on your Mac and Linux, right? The documentation will help you. You can go through that. So if you have Windows operating system, then by default Windows comes with a web server. So Windows OS comes with a web server. So called IIS, Internet Information Services. So we can use various web servers. We can download various web servers. We can use them. But if you are having Windows, so operating system, so by default you have a web server called IS, Internet Information Services. So how it works? We will see. What you have to do is, first you have to locate the web server. locate the web server. First, you have to locate the web server on your Windows PC. First, locate the web server on your Windows PC. That means first you have to verify, is there a web server available in my computer so that I can start working with it. So how do we locate a web server on the Windows PC? See, open control panel, open your Windows control panel. In the Windows control panel, you will find the arrangement of icons here. Sometimes you can see the right panel, right side, you have an option called view by large icons. And here I will select, so category. Sometimes your control panel will be category wise. So you can simply switch to large icon or small icons. It will be in this way. Now in icon view, you can go to administrative tools. You can search directly, but the order I am showing, you can go to control panel administrative tools. In administrative tools, you can find IIS, Internet Information Services. This is a web server that comes with Windows. Windows comes with a web server. By default, it have a web server. It provides a web server. You can use this web server. So how do we locate the web server? So we have to open Windows control panel. And after that, switch to large icons, large icon view. Then go to administrative tools, and look for Internet Information Services Manager. That is the first thing. You have to look for this. If it is available, that's good. Now you can start working with it. If not available, so sometimes what happens is in Windows, some tools are switched off due to not in use. Then you need to turn it on. They are turned off. You need to turn it on. No need to install. You need to just turn it on. So that means if web server is not there, IIS is not there on your computer, then you can turn on. So that means how do you turn on here? So that means add web server to your Windows PC. So Windows PC, if not available. If not available, you can add web server to your Windows PC. How to add web servers to Windows PC if it is not available? Let's see. So go to control panel again. In this control panel, this time to add remove programs, you have to go to programs and features. Go to programs and features. This is programs and features. Now in programs and features, it will show you the list of all programs installed in your computer. Okay, left side, you will find an option, turn Windows features on or off. You click on turn Windows features on or off. Then you will find in the list that is populated when you selected, that list contains an option called Internet Information Services. Make sure that you have selected this checkbox checked, made this checkbox as checked, and that sometimes it may be unchecked, due to that it is not available. You make sure that it is checked, Internet Information Services, and checked, and say okay, it will be added. So if you are unable to find, then you can add in this way. That means how to add is, so again go to control panel, open programs and features, then click on turn Windows features on or off, and select Internet Information Services, then click OK. This will add IIS into your computer. This will add web server into computer. So first point is first check whether it is available or not. If it is available, continue with. If not available, then add that onto your PC. Now, sometimes due to your issues with your operating system, because you might have an expired license of Windows, you are not using a genuine Windows, some issues will come in various occasions. Then what you can do is, so you can Google and you can search for, so IIS, and that is for IS6. So IS6, IS8, these versions are enough. You can go to IS8 and you can download that IS8 for your computer. So you can go to the downloads and you can download that IS. So IS8 is enough for us. You can download and install it and you can use it. You can download, install and use it. Actually not required. You can simply add it. This is very rare location, rare concept. Very rarely, if it is not able to add due to some issues in your operating system, then so you can download and you can install separately. You can do that separately. So initially, so when you are working with Windows PCs, then you have a web server. So the web server is now ready. Okay. Once the web server is ready, how do we test the web server? That means how we can test the web server. So here the point is, actually we have to test the web server. That means test web server, whether it is responding or not. How we can test the web server, whether it is responding or not? You can open any browser, Chrome, Firefox, any browser. You can open any browser. In this browser, to test the web server, you have to type http:// So server can be accessed by using IP address or by using a reference name. Actually, why the word localhost? You can use the word localhost. Why the word localhost is used? Because actually localhost is a technical term generally used because localhost is used because that means this is your PC. So that means your PC. So your PC. On your PC, you have IIS. That means you have the server running. So on your PC, so this is the server running. On your PC, the server is running, right? And you are accessing that server. From the same local computer itself. You are accessing the servers here itself, locally. You are accessing the server locally on the same computer itself, right? You are accessing on the same computer itself, locally you are accessing that. So in that case, you can access the server by using the name localhost. So if I want to access this from another machine, if we want to access from another machine, from some another computer, I need to access that, then I cannot use the word localhost. Then I need to get the IP address of this. Through that IP address, I can access it. We need the IP address in order to access it. So generally how we can access and use it. That means if it is accessed on the same machine, then localhost word is used. If you are accessing from another machine, then you have to use IP address. Now, sometimes many people ask the question, sir, I have my friend's computer. In his computer, IIS is present. Can I access IIS from his computer and use on my computer server? I can use it. You can use it. But for that, first you need to establish a network connection between your machine and your friend's machine. And all the network sharing options must be configured between those two computers in a network. That means they should be on a same network and they should be connected on the network with all the sharing options. Then if that sharing permission is given for that friend's computer to access for anonymous requests, then it will allow you to access his web server, the sites that developed on that server, and you can use here. You can do that, but you need a network connection established between those two machines actually. So we can access it in two ways. So localhost, hit enter, and you can see that. So it will display. What is HTTP? What is HTTP colon? Everything we will discuss about that. We are going to learn about it. What we are going to detail see about. But this screen comes. That means your web server is ready. You can access by using the IP address also. The common IP address for every machine will be http://127.0.0.1 standard. The IAS, so server related standard IP address will be this. We can configure the different IP addresses, static IPs and everything, so that you will learn in the next levels. But initially the default IP address is this, and it is standard for every server that is running on your machine. This is the default IP for every server running on that machine. Suppose you installed Oracle on your computer. So Oracle uses a server that also runs on this only, 127. You installed MongoDB on your computer that needs a server that also uses 127.0.0. That means all the technologies that need a server on your computer, so they use this IP address only. Oracle or MongoDB or Node.js or .NET or any technology that is running on your machine will use the same IP address for accessing the server actually. Now hit enter. Now it will get that request and show you. It will get that response and display. So how you can test it? So basically how you can test it? Simple. So what you have to do is you have to open any browser. So request the following URL. So what is that URL you have to request? So you have to request that following URL. And what is the URL we need to request, right? So here we have to define. So http:// so localhost, or so we can just use http://127 so .0.0.1. So that is how we can generally access. Now, so you can use anyone. You can test anyone. Now remember, I already told you, right? If you have static IP, if you have loopback or some XYZ, if you know anything, then keep that information with you. You will learn later about that. As of now, we are learning about the basic level. So just this is enough for you. So many things will be there. Very complex things will be there. Keep with you. We will learn about them later. So we will discuss about them. Initially, we are discussing at a basic level how we can handle this. Then we will go into expert level to deal with this, right? First, very basic level, we need to understand the process, how to deal with it. So here, first point, what you have to do is you have to first locate a web server. If not, you add a web server, then test the web server and everything is working. Web server, everything is working fine. So that means now your web server is working fine, everything is there. Now, next step after understanding, so how we can configure and locate the web server. Now, the next important thing you need to understand is about website. Technically, what is a website? Because server is ready. Now, the next step is you need a website to host on the server so that we can start building and we can start learning how to work with that. Now, technically, first important question asked for anyone is, what is a website? Then you will get so many answers. So website is a collection of pages, website is this, website is that. That you can expect different answers from people. But technically, what is a website? So how a website works? Technically, what is website? Actually, technically, website is a virtual directory on web server. It is a virtual directory on web server. Don't ever say that website is a collection of pages. That answer is always nonsense. Why? Because we asked what is a website and you are saying website is a collection of pages. That means you are saying what it contains, but we are asking what it is. But because for a general person, for a people who don't know technically, who just learned about something on web, they don't know technically what is web. From all those people, the same answer will come. Website is a collection of web pages, right? So I never asked what it contains. Of course, everybody knows it contains so many things. Website is not just pages, it contains so many things. So don't ever say that website is a collection of pages from hereafter as a technician, right? Website is technically a virtual directory on web server. Virtual directory on web server. What is that? We will prove that now. We will see that. How you define website? Website is a virtual directory. Virtual directory means that name itself says that virtual means in physical reality, it is not there. In physical reality, it is not there. Then why it is virtual? We will see that. Why it is called as a virtual directory. Technically, website is a virtual directory. It provides access to the resources. It provides access to the resources. It provides access to the resources. Website is a virtual directory that provides access to the resources. That is the reason actually. So we have the meaning like web. Web means you know that it is a portion of internet. Web is a portion of internet. And site means location. Site means location. What does website means? Means a location on web server actually, technically. That means a location on web. Generally in a computer, location means what? In a computer, location means usually it will be drive name, directory name. That means usually location. You should know that. So usually in computing system, location is referring to drive and directory. Location usually refers to drive and directory. Location means in a computer, location means what? Location means drive and directory. That means you have some pictures, some videos, and we will generally ask in which location they are present. Then you will tell the path. You will tell the path in C drive, in D drive, in E drive, in this folder, this is present. So website is a virtual directory actually. Technically, website is a virtual directory that provides access to various resources. Now, how it works, how it looks like, I will show you that practically. We will see that now. See. So how you can handle this? What is the concept? Observe carefully. Open your IIS now. There is a shortcut. Actually, we have to open from control panel, administrative tools, and open this web server, Internet Information Services. Open this web server. Then this is the web server. This is the web server. And this is the location where we host, we can maintain our applications and everything. This is the web server. So we can manage our server. So here, our applications here. So there is a shortcut to open this every day. So just what you can do is, so you can go to the run. In run, you can type inetmgr. That is the shortcut, inetmgr. That is shortcut. However, you can open from its original location. inetmgr, it gets you this IIS. Now observe carefully. So left side, you can see that in the left panel, this is the server name. This is the server name. But when we move the mouse onto this, you can see it is the virtual name. The virtual name is this, HTTP localhost. That is the virtual name. That is HTTP localhost. Later we are going to discuss so that HTTP and all. When you move the mouse onto this, it will show you that virtual name. Now expand this location, expand this. So when you click on this, it will show you. So sites, what are application pools? These are not required at this level for you, right? First, we are just discussing about website. We will stick to that point. Others you will learn once the concept and situation comes. So you expand this local server, you will find a sites folder. You see sites is a folder. And open that sites folder. When you open the sites folder, you can see there is a default website. Default website is the location where we maintain all our websites. This default website is the location, so where we maintain all our websites. That is the location where we maintain all our websites. So actually, this default location is configured at a physical path, which I will show you. As of now, all our websites are maintained inside this default website. So what you have to do is, to create a website, right click on default website. So you will get an option called, when you right click on the default website, you will find an option called add virtual directory. What is difference between a directory and an application? These all things we will learn step by step, we will discuss. And there is an option manage website. There is an option bindings. There is an option virtual directory, application, permission, so many. So if you want to add a virtual, means you want to add a website on your server, you have to use an virtual directory. What is difference between directory and application? You will learn in the next level, we will discuss about that. Initially, website is a virtual directory. You have to select virtual directory. So that means we need to right click and select add virtual directory. When you select add virtual directory, it will prompt you the name here. What name you want for your website? So any name for your website, any name for your website, alias, it is the website name. I'm giving the website name some Amazon. That is the website name. You can give any name. So always when you are naming, so follow some standards. Don't use spaces and lengthy names. So they will work, but time waste, because they will create a lot of complications. So always follow the standards. Just give a simple word as a name. Write a simple word as a name. Don't use any special characters and anything at this level. So it will be difficult for you to handle them and understanding them. Later you can do that once you gain experience. Initially just a simple word, just give a name. Okay, this is the name. That means actually, what is the name of our website? What is the name of our website? How it is referred? Actually, it is referred in this way. That means HTTP:// so localhost or IP address and / Amazon. That is the name. This is the virtual name given to your website. But very important is this is the virtual name. This is the virtual name. Virtual means in physical reality, there is no location called Amazon in my computer. In physical reality, there is no location called Amazon. It is just a virtual name. If there is no location called Amazon, then how I maintain the resources for this website? Website contains collection of resources. How you maintain the resources for your website? Where you will keep them? We need some files, we need some pages, we need something for that website. Where you will keep them? This is a virtual location. Then every website will have a virtual and every website will have a physical path. Every website will have a physical path. Physical path. So this is the location where we keep the resources for that website. That means you can choose any path on your computer. So you can choose any path on your computer. C drive, D drive, any path on your computer. Now all the website resources are kept, website related resources are kept here. Resources are kept here. Now we want our client to access those resources. If we want our client to access those resources, Will you give him the physical path to access the resources? What do you say? Will you give the physical path to access the resources? Will you give the physical path to access the resources? No, we will not give the physical path to access the resources because he can disturb, he can delete. Then how he can access the resources? Then how he can access the resources? So that means he can access the resources by using the virtual name. Am I right? It can access by using the virtual name. That means virtual path is for client and physical path is for developers. I hope everyone understood. So virtual path is for accessing the resource. Virtual path is for accessing the resource. And physical path is to keep all the resources. Website resources are kept in the physical path. So that means now you can see that here, when I am trying to create a virtual directory, it is asking the physical path. It is asking the physical path. Now I will go here. I will browse the path. Don't write the path. So remember why? Because you can write the path, no problem. But remember, this physical path must be a path which is existing, which must be an existing path. If you return something which is not there, then it will say that there is no folder by this name. That is the reason. Better what you do, you browse, and here in C drive or D drive, anywhere, you just create a new folder and maintain a folder called some Amazon. I can give the same name. So, and I click on OK. That is the physical path. You can maintain a different name also, it's okay. But so reasonably, we are maintaining the same name and C drive, and click OK. Then your website is ready. That means now what we have to do, how we create a website. So that means, so we have to create a new website, on your local server, How to create a website on local server? What we have to do is open IIS. Shortcut is in run. You can use inet mgr. After that, opening the server, expand local computer. Local computer is HTTP. It is http://localhost. That is the name. And after that, you have to expand sites folder. You will have a sites folder. Then you have to right click. So right click on default website. Right click on default website and select the option add virtual directory. Now when you select add virtual directory, then it will ask you to enter the details about the virtual directory. So it will ask you to add the details about the virtual directory. And these are the details I mentioned about the virtual directory. These are the details we defined for the virtual directory. And I will just give you a screenshot of that. These are the details for the virtual directory. These are the details we maintained for that virtual directory. And in these details, we have to define, that means two things. One is alias. So alias is nothing but the website name. And the physical path is the location for resources. So you can simply say that resource location. So resource location. And very important, so our alias virtual path will be like this. http://localhost/Amazon, something like this. Now very important, generally what do you call this line? http:// what do you call that line? Generally what do you call that line? You call that line as URL. So what is the full form of URL? That means it is Uniform Resource Locator. Am I right? Am I right? That is why it is called resource locator. Am I right? That is why it is called resource locator. That means it is a resource locator. It is not the resource location. It is not the resource location. It is the resource locator. Resource location is what? What is the resource location? Resource location is, what is the resource location? What is the resource location? Resource location is the physical path. That's right. Right? Resource location is the physical path. And that is Amazon. This is the resource locator. This is the resource location. Resource locator is the virtual path. Resource location is the physical path. Is the physical path. So that means a website is ready. I hope everyone understood that, right? Everyone understood that. So that means when you type Amazon, then what will happen? It will take you. So this is localhost. This is locally we created Amazon. Right now, important is, so I just click OK, that website is ready. Now let's access this website and see. That means here I am using /Amazon and hit enter. Now when I hit enter, obviously I will get some error. I will get some error. When I hit enter, obviously I will get some error. You can see some error. Error is very reasonable. Why? Because it says that there are no contents in this directory. Of course, are there any resources for our website currently? Are there any resources for our website? So that means we just created a website. We don't have any resources for the website. Where I should maintain the resources for this website? Where I should maintain resources for this website? We have to maintain the resources for the website. Where to maintain the resources? In the physical path, right? That means what we have to do now is we will go to the physical path, C drive and Amazon. In that it is empty. I will create a new folder called images. I will create another folder called some docs. And in images folder, I will copy some images that I have in my computer. Suppose in my computer, so I have some websites and I have some images. I will copy some image. So speaker, some image, and so I will copy that and I will keep that in that images folder, in this images folder. So that is a speaker. And what type of file also you should know that speaker is a JPG file. It is a JPG file. Now we have a resource in this website. We have a resource in this website. We have images, in that we have a resource. Similarly in docs, suppose in docs, so we will maintain a separate folder. In docs, we will maintain a separate folder. That means document, we will maintain a separate folder. Separate file. Suppose there is a PDF document. I copied a PDF document in the docs folder. So we have images, we have docs, and we have some resources now. Folder is not a resource. In the folder, the files are resources. We are having some files in those folders. Now your website is having some resources. You can request them here. So you are request them here. So what is that? We have images. In images, we have speaker.jpg. That is the resource. And I am requesting that resource and I can access and see that resource. Now, is our website having any web page? Is our website having any web page? We don't have any web page. We don't have any web page. So we don't have any web page here. So that means, I think now you understood that whenever you say website is a collection of pages, it's a very big blunder from a technician. That means you are talking contradictory completely. That means you don't know anything about website then. If you say website is just a collection of web pages, we don't have any web pages here. Now very important here. So very important here is I'm accessing some other resource Like in docs, I have CSS demo.pdf and I can access that document here. I can display the document here. I can access the resources. But here the key point is how a new user knows which resource is present in with that location. How he knows the location of resources. I hope you understood, right? That means a new user, how he knows the path of that resource. He don't know the path, am I right? That means a person who is watching your website, he don't know in which folder which file is present, in which folder which content is present, am I right? Am I right? Then what we have to do is we have to provide a proper UI, user interface, from where he can interact with the resources. Am I right? We have to provide a proper UI from where he must able to interact with the resources. What do you say? We need to provide a proper UI to interact with the resources. Am I right? Right? And the UI provided to interact with the resources is called web page. The UI used to interact with the resources is called web page. Technically, a web page. What is a web page? Detailedly, I will explain. But web page provides a UI from where you can interact with the resources. We can handle interaction with the resources. It provides a UI from where you can interact with the resource. You can access the resource, you can interact with the resource. Without web page also, can you access any resource? Without web page also, can you access any resource? Yes, sir. Without web page also, we can access any resource. Know the name, am I right? We should know the name, right? We should know the path. For example, you are watching a PDF document. For example, observe carefully. Suppose I Google here. In the Google, I am saying as HTML Power Presentation, PPT. When I search for HTML PPT, so then what it will do is, have you observed many times when you search for such HTML PPT, then it will directly give you a path which leads to that presentation. Am I right? Will it give you any home page? Will it give you any home page? It will not give you any home page. It will directly take you to that location, that resource location. You can download it. So you can download it. So that is what the point. So website is not just collection of pages. It is collection of resources. You can access the resources without a web page. Already we are doing that. We are accessing the resource without a web page. But we need to provide a proper UI from where user can interact with our resources. That is the key point here. That is the key point here. Now, for that we need to understand. So what is a web page now? Technically, we need to understand what is a web page. What is a web page and how the web page works, how the web page is configured and how it actually interacts. So that we will discuss in our next session. Hope you are clear with today's concept. And tomorrow, for what you do is, first you try this, whatever we discuss it today. And let me know tomorrow. So if you are able to successfully do this, right? I will share every notes in the GitHub. Already I am sharing every day, right? So you first try this today. And if you are successful in creating the server and the website,